This is Valerie Van Boeven with the Senior Care Industry Netcast, where leaders with 3 or more years of experience in the senior care market share their advice. So let's get to it. Today we have some superstars on with us. So I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves and tell us what you do. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Melanie Stover, and this is
Cheryl Peltekis.
And together we own home care sales. We create blueprints for home care owners and marketers so that they can ask for and get high value clients. Cheryl and I are the only clinician turned sales pros and in this industry, and that gives us a unique ability to reach into your agency and pull out the best pieces to use as differentiators in your highly competitive markets. We know what your referral sources want, and we can position your agency as the agency of choice.
Excellent. Really, Home Care Sales is a consulting firm which specializes in growth strategies. And we have been working with clients and agencies for over 25 years, which means we have the experience to deliver your results. In addition, we are the only sales and marketing firm with an active home care owner. Me and my husband actually own and operate a home health, hospice, and a private duty company since 1995. So we've been around for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys, and I would say this, there are lots of consultants in the world, but having known Melanie and Cheryl for a very long time, I can tell you that when it comes to having experience through all kinds of ups and downs in our world, these two definitely are the ones to call upon because, if you're going to hire somebody to help you move to the next level, you want somebody that's been around the block for a few years and has that clinical experience because if they're brand new to the market, they haven't seen recessions and all the crazy things that happen. We've all seen COVID, but
let alone all the acronyms that we use in our industry, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so having said that, we are gonna go on with our questions, but give us a summary or talk to us about what you've seen in the last 8 or 9 months and where you think things are going for home care and whatever else you want to throw in there.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Cheryl and I work with agencies across the country, and categorically, when we do our market research, what we hear from owners is that what is top of mind or their most persistent problem in the last year, and it is, surprise, COVID and the pandemic. The fact that they are struggling to gain access to their referral sources, they're struggling to recruit enough caregivers. And so really that's the same coin, just different sides. And I think that is the biggest challenge that we have seen and how the market has changed dramatically, that landscape. We call it the rep filter, meaning that our referral sources are filtering who can come into their buildings, even in times of low diagnosis or low cases. They're still using that as an excuse to filter out those reps that they don't want to see.
Yeah, I can honestly say I would absolutely say that. And from your perspective and your clients that you deal with every day, I can say this from personal experience, my dad being pulled out of a nursing home because of the isolation. Is that what you guys are seeing? Are you seeing more cases of folks pulling people out? Are you seeing people not wanting to go to rehab and wanting to come directly home for rehabilitation? Or what has been your experience over the last few months?
Yeah. So Valerie, that's such a great question. And I also personally have taken my mother-in-law out of a skilled nursing facility and have brought her home. And as a result, I'm utilizing more and more private duty services in the house than I have ever used before. And I have found that that is a trend that we see throughout the market. Because of the longevity of being in home health and hospice and private duty, I will share with you, I get a lot of referrals from the facilities. And because of COVID, especially in April, we really had a slowdown because of non-emergent procedures being canceled. Without the flow of patients going from the hospital into the skilled nursing facility, there wasn't a large flow from then the skilled nursing facility to home. We had to reinvent the way that we would go about getting referrals and do it very quickly. And what we learned is that if you flip the switch and you go after the physician market, and you really educate them on how you can help, maybe even conducting some remote face-to-face assessments for the physician to do telehealth, then you can really become a valid partner to the physician and really also get tons of business.
Nice. Very nice. Awesome. Okay. So we're going to probably hit on that again in a minute. Haha, that's a great tip. All right. So one of my normal questions is, what is the best thing about serving aging adults? But I know that you all serve the people who serve the aging adults. So what is the best thing about what you guys do?
So we really do this because we have a deep passion for getting care for seniors who deserve it. And that is your care. Many of you who are listening right now are owners or marketers, and you're saying, how do I get more people the care that they deserve? That's Cheryl and I's mission, is to help you do that. Both Cheryl's a nurse, I'm an occupational therapist. We both were in the field first. And what we recognized is people want to be home, and we all know that to be true. And we believe the best way to impact is to market, to share the message of home care. We believe that home care is the best kept secret. With COVID and the pandemic, a spotlight is now being shown on us. It is your time to shine. You now have a seat at the table. Take advantage of it. Many people are saying, no, our referral sources won't listen. They can't hear us. And Cheryl and I both have evidence of agencies we work with where today is the best time to show your value. When you are able to tell and get time with your referral sources to demonstrate how you can impact their business, you're going to help them protect revenue or produce revenue and ultimately get more referrals, which means that you're going to be able to serve more seniors and impact more families and patients' lives.
Awesome.
You know, Val, I wanted to say, because I really appreciate that question. I appreciate when you ask us, what do we believe or how do we feel about what's best about what we do? And I just want to share, I remember growing up in a home where my mom and dad were full-time caregivers to my great-grandparents, my grandparents, and a great aunt. So I remember in addition to that, I know that there were times when I was in nursing school and I got to do a ride along out in the field with a home health nurse, and I got to see care being delivered into a home as a student, that I was getting these services and they're not. And I remember going back to nursing school class and saying to my clinical instructor, hey, wait a second, how do I get somebody services in their home? And to be honest, the nursing instructor had no clue. She didn't even know how to answer the question. And so it really made me acutely aware that there is a significant knowledge deficit about the services that we can provide in the home, that doctors don't know, nurses don't know, discharge planners don't know. And we have this false belief that they are the best resource, but they just don't understand about what we can do to support somebody in their home. And it's really our mission, our job at Home Care Sales, to help people advocate and say the right words that they can really educate and get patients the care that they need and that they deserve.
Very nice. Very nicely said. Absolutely. I mean, you assume that people are going to make the best resource and best referrals and go, but they're also busy and they also have knowledge deficits. And so sometimes it really isn't, it isn't what it appears. You definitely need more than one person advocating for that senior and to get the services they need. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So the next question I have talks about people who have impacted you or organizations who have impacted you in the course of your career. Who would you like to give a shout out to? Can be organizations, people, or whatever you like.
Mel, would you like to go first?
Sure. So my story in home care actually begins with before I was born, with my grandfather, Frank Peterson. And I'm actually going to give out a shout out to Helen Peterson, who is my grandmother. He contracted polio 3 days before they announced 90 miles away at the University of Pittsburgh they had a polio vaccine. And within 6 months, he would be a quad. And back then, they didn't have fancy beds. They didn't have wheelchairs with the specialty seating. They said to her, she had 3 young children. They said, put them in a home, put them in a polio home. But not Helen, man. She was like, nope, I'm bringing them home. And she did. And she turned the family dining room into his bedroom. And for 19 years, she kept him home, kept him alive, and kept his skin intact with the help of his children, my mom and my uncles, herself, and private duty nursing. Now, he would pass when my mom is 19 and would go, I would hear stories. So it's no wonder I became an OT with all the adaptive equipment that was going on in that house. And that was a great starting point for me for foundation. And like Cheryl, out in the field, I could make a great impact one-on-one with families as a clinician. And I kept thinking, how can I do more? How can I get this service out into the world in a bigger way? And the way that I thought that I could do that best is through marketing, through going to the referral sources and asking for more patients and educating. And that really is the foundation of what we do today, is how we position agencies. It's about education and bringing their differentiators to the surface so that referral sources can go, oh, I have that kind of patient. What would you do for that patient? How would you help? So that it gives just a little bit of an opening that allows you the opportunity to tell them how and why and ask for that referral. So this story really starts with my grandmother, who put all this in motion.
Yep, absolutely. And what a testament to her strength and her willingness to do that. What we'll do for our humans that we love is amazing. So yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. Cheryl, you want to share your
So I really think that I'd like to give a shout out, if I can, to all of the workers that work for the Corporation of Aging. I really think that is where there are so many hidden gems, and a lot of times they just don't get recognized as the significant role that they really do play. I mean, it's really hard to go into seniors' homes as a social worker or as an assessment coordinator for the Corporation of Aging. You don't know the families, you don't know the context of the home or the environment that you're going into. And if it's in a tough market, like I serve some of the poorest people in the nation in North Philadelphia. Philadelphia is still the poorest city in the United States, and North Philadelphia is specifically the poorest county inside of Philadelphia. And I will share with you some of those PCA workers that go into those homes and build the patients a customized plan of care to allow them to still live with their loved ones. I have to give them a lot of credit. It's hard work, and they really try to give as many resources as humanly possible to support a family member to stay in their home. And, the agencies that learn to work with PCA, I really commend them as well, because it's not the best clients. It's not the most highly reimbursed rates, but there's something about it that is really overwhelmingly rewarding as a caregiver and as an organization that can pull together a team that can serve those clients. I just think that they're under-recognized for what they can do.
That's amazing. Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that it comes down to the human element. Everybody deserves dignity. They deserve care where they want to be cared for, which we know 99.999% of the time is going to be in their home. So when there are programs like that and people who can service those folks, that is truly amazing and wonderful that we are, as humans, will do those kinds of things and will help anybody make sure that they have that dignity and that care that they deserve. So
how about you, Val? Which one of your favorites?
Oh my gosh, who has made a difference for me? I would have to say, no one's ever asked me that question, but I would say
Surprise.
Yeah.
On the show.
Woo. So let's see. I would say I did not have the experience. I'm an only child, so that's weird. And so now, yes, I'm a brat. But I, but I grew up in a home with just my mom and dad and no brothers and sisters. So I would say my whole life I was much more accustomed to being around adults. I mean, I just was always, or I mean, obviously I had friends and that, but I was accustomed to being around older adults all the time. We didn't have like a daycare setting in our house, like kind of like I do now, not now, but have had. Um, so I believe, and then I also remember my mother's a very strong person, and she's very smart and very, and in her career years, she was very driven career-wise. So I take a lot of that from her, but I also recognize at an early age that I didn't want to sit behind a desk all day, which is what I do now. But I wanted to be a nurse because I wanted to be around people and I wanted to help people and I wanted to, be moving around and be with a community of people. So that this career has served me very well in that regard. I don't do clinical nursing anymore, but I can honestly say that having that nursing degree has opened so many doors. So having a background in healthcare, I think has been the catalyst for all kinds of different things, any avenue, any door you want to open. So people that have inspired me, of course, my parents and organizations over the years have varied from nursing organizations to hospital systems that I've worked in that have been amazing. Nurses that have mentored me in a clinical setting and have really taught me, how to be a better nurse, but also teaches you how to be a better person in general. All those experiences are priceless. And so now that I'm old, I always tell people I'm 200 years old in nurse years. There is nothing you can say to me or show me that I haven't already seen or that will shock me. Very rarely. I don't care if your guts are falling out. I'm good with that. Let's just fix that, okay? Let's just get that. Let's make that go away. So,
which works well with kids, right?
Yeah,
it works well.
If you're not, and the children in my life, and maybe you guys can relate to this, have if you're not dying, you better not be crying. So that's kind of how we live here. If I don't see blood, you're going to make it.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't get too excited about much, to be honest with you. So anyway, it's I think all those experiences rounded out, but mostly my parents and the mentors that have been willing to put up with me over the years and teach me what I need to know. So
that's awesome.
All right, what piece of advice, and I know you've got a bunch of it, what piece of advice would you give to senior care providers out there right now?
Want me to go first, Mel?
Sure, let's do it.
So my definitely, I think that if I could control every single provider that's out there that takes care of seniors and force something on them, it would be this. You must have a patient advocate / salesperson, whatever that title is, for your clients. If you want to get people to come into your agency and work with your company, you need to have a trained sales person. It could even be a caregiver who really wants to go out and talk and educate people about your company's services. Anybody can become a wonderful salesperson if they follow a proven sales process. The fact that companies still don't have people that are working out there in sales is troubling. I've seen too many clients that had no salesperson. They say, oh, I'm not going to hire a salesperson because I have already hours that I'm not filling. Once we find a way to fix some of their recruitment challenges, then their problem is not enough referrals coming in the door to keep their caregivers working. So you've got to constantly have somebody building your numbers, because what happens if you lose that one account that you've been sitting on that gives you all the referrals and that's gone overnight? What ends up happening is you don't have enough work then, your other caregivers flock away as well, and you are in a lose situation. So you want to have a trained salesperson. It can be a caregiver, just like me and Melanie originally were clinicians. It has to be somebody that is going to follow a proven sales process that's going to bring in reliable, consistent referral stream. When we see that reliable, consistent referrals, we see companies that continue to grow year after year. Oh, you're muted, Val.
Yeah, thanks for that, Cheryl. I think what Cheryl's saying rings true to me also, is that you need a marketer or salesperson, whatever, liaison, whatever you call that person, advocate, that goes out into the field and brings the message of home care to our medical referral sources and other referral sources. The challenge that we see over and over again is that somebody will say, oh, here's a marketer, or here is a caregiver that's a good people person, let's put them out into the field. And the problem is they don't have the skills to do it. And sales is nothing more, marketing is nothing more than a skill set. You can learn it. And what they recognize is they have to go out in the field every week and talk to their referral sources. Now, during COVID, we've been doing all of this remotely via phone, email, text. And then comes the next problem, right? You hire them, but they don't know what they're going to say. And so consequently, we give our sales reps the sales message of the week that they go out with into the community that's going to deliver high value clients and high value referrals to you. I think that's part of the process that Cheryl spoke about, that we need to give them structure. We have a saying that says, with structure comes freedom. And what we mean by that is, when you know the words you're going to say this week, you have the freedom to infuse your personality and the uniqueness of your agency. And that's going to give you confidence, and that confidence sells.
Absolutely. Yes. Knowing what to say is so important. And you also hit on another piece that I think a lot of our bigger agencies are struggling with. In fact, I know they are. And that is when they do have to take their sales staff, whether they have one or three or whatever many they have, and they went suddenly from being that in-person woohoo, to having to pick up the phone and be woohoo. It was a big challenge. It still is today. It's hard to go from that in-person party, yay, I'm here, and people are so good at that. But when you ask an in-person marketer to go to a telephone marketer, sometimes that's a big challenge. So I'm going to guess that you guys have a really good way of helping people transition to making more phone calls when situations like this happen, right?
Absolutely, because you're 100% right. Our outside marketers, in-person marketers, within literally a week transitioned from outside to inside. And that was a rocky transition for some of them. It was hard. They didn't know how to do it. And some of them still struggle. What we've done is have a program called Roadmap of Referrals. And that is our sales message of the week. We continue to do that. We did it in person. And for those of you who can still get out in person, we welcome that. But the vast majority of folks are doing it via phone, email, and text. And we quickly turned all of that material into email scripts, voicemail scripts, phone scripts, because what we know is, again, that the folks just need templates. They need a formula to follow so that they can get the confidence that they need to execute. And when they have that roadmap to execute, they're going to be more successful because they're proven templates that we've used with our own teams.
Yes.
And I want to share, Val, we were really blessed that with the proven email templates that we written, as well as with the phone scripts that we had done, I had one account that was a hospital system that would traditionally give me about 178 to 180 referrals a month. That was dried up. In April, I got about 35 referrals from that hospital. So I had to make up 140 referrals. And let me tell you, I was able to make up the 140 referrals with my sales team using the written scripts and following the inside sales process that we delivered them. And it was more about the clients that didn't hit their numbers in April. I think it was because, Mel, they were still in a grief phase, right? They were almost not reacting. They were almost putting it off, saying it's going to go away. They were in denial. And they were saying, we don't have to do anything for a while. This is going to stop and we'll be back to normal so quick. And it's those agencies that really, I call it, they got stuck. They paused, right? They hit the pause button and said, let me wait and see. They're the ones that really felt the pinch.
Yes. Well, I mean, truly, it felt like the whole world went on pause, but you can't pause forever. And even if this gets worse before it gets better, there's still people out there that need care. I know that here in the St. Louis area, they are shutting down elective surgeries again. And our hospitals are overwhelmed. So that's going to put a pause or put a slowdown on referrals from elective surgeries. However, that doesn't mean that the world is going to stop completely. You got to keep going. You can't pause your own business. There's too much to do. So having some folks like you to learn from, and now you've already been through that situation once. And if it rears its ugly head again before we get vaccines that work, then we're going to need to know that we can't stop. There are solutions, and you guys would be a great resource for everybody out there to make sure that we keep going here.
And I appreciate you saying that. I also want to draw attention to, if you happen to listen to this on replay, a year from now, that from this experience, what I know about the team that I personally manage in Minnesota is we will never go back to just in-person in marketing, that we are covering more ground. We open up accounts. The ladies and gentlemen are, I hired 2 new reps right before COVID hit in February. Awesome.
Yeah.
And even the owner said to me, should we lay them off? Should we keep them? What should we do? And I said, let me hold on and let's try. Cheryl and I were working on the inside sales process, remote marketing. And I said, let me try it. And they did. They allowed me that opportunity. Both of those reps are not only succeeding, one of them opened up a brand new territory, like never been in before, expanded north, and is killing it up there. So I want every owner, every marketer to hear that you can, even in times of complete shutdown, right? Where electives are gone, the hospital is empty, or maybe the hospital is full, but not of your patients are discharging, right? That they're in the TCU or SNF with rehabs empty, is that they're still making their numbers. In fact, they're overachieving their numbers. They're looking at alternative sources and alternative ways to connect. And right now, we are connecting with the human first, and then the agency, because as you said, a lot of these frameworks are broken. Social frameworks are broken. So the reps are really learning new skills, and it's an urgent time to skill up because the whole world just went virtual. And it isn't going back together the way that it was previous to COVID. And there's a lot of great lessons to be learned here. The agencies we work with are getting more referrals than they had pre-COVID, which is a testament to the reps work in the system and working it hard. It's different. Yesterday, I was on a coaching call with one of our favorite reps, and she was like, man, my brain hurts. And it's because she's thinking differently, right? She was the queen for 5 years. She went out, she made sales calls. She knew exactly where she was going. She knew where the good bathrooms were. She knew how to get into the, locked units at the TCU or at the SNF with rehab and memory care on the AL. She knew everything. And all of that's gone for her now.
Yep.
And she is now, and she's killing it. She's doing an amazing job. She is overachieving quota. But she has to think differently, and she has to follow the email scripts, and then she likes to tweak them to make them her own and send them out and make those connections. So I would say to everyone who's listening, you can do this. You can get referrals. There are just so many patients and clients who need help right now. They're in their home suffering, and nobody actually may know about it except you're the one who is going to advocate, until you get that patient served, until you can identify it, until the doctor can help identify it, whomever it is that you're working with. That's the key to success here. Is inside sales is not just a thing that you do. Oh, I'm dialing and smiling every day. No. And saying, do you have a home care referral for me? Because we know that didn't work in person. It sure as heck isn't going to work on the phone, where your message is diluted by 50%. I would say to you that you've got to have a tight script where you're asking good open-ended questions and you're triggering them to think about patients who are currently on caseload or currently in their apartments on lockdown or whatever, wherever you're at, calling on those referral sources. I think that's the key to your success. So many people say, oh, the phone doesn't work anymore, cold calling's dead. And I will tell you, we have agencies, we have hundreds of sales reps who will tell you the answer is you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Now, what you do to help, and Val, what you're doing to help organizations has really been able to help organizations grow also. So together, I think what you're doing and what home care sales can do to help with the inside sales pieces, these organizations should be soaring in referrals.
Absolutely, they should. And you're right. The uptick in online marketing, where people had websites, they had forms that people filled out, they had, they had a Facebook page. Now, that is the most important piece of their life. They have to have a really good presence. They have to make sure that they're actually look like they're active. They have to know what happens when a form is filled out on their website, the actions that need to be taken. You can't ignore those anymore, or not ignore them, but think of them as not urgent, because you get a lot of spam mixed in with that sometimes. But when you do get a lead form that comes in, you have to pay attention to it fast. Just because it came from your website doesn't mean you can just call them back later. You literally have to have a dedicated person that says, ooh, right now, let's get on the phone with whoever just did this.
Critical.
If we're doing leads, and then recruiting, you guys mentioned, we have had people come to us, and I can't say that, we have any secret to, our folks in New Jersey and New York and Pennsylvania, as you know, are just suffering with the ability to recruit qualified candidates. New Jersey is suffering with the fact that the Board of Nursing is shut down and nobody can get certificates, CHHAs, or whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of weird stuff happening, and it is just making everybody nuts because they can't staff the cases. They're having to give them away. So it's a catch-22, and I know you guys have solutions for this, but I would say that having an automated recruiting system that goes out there and already knows how to reach these people where they're at and does it pretty seamlessly is so important. If you're still using paper, if you're still using, and it's okay to use paper, but if things are not online and form fillable on a little bitty phone like this, because that's what everybody's doing, then you're doing yourself a disservice. You need to take it up a notch so you make it easy for these people to apply for a job with you. Make it easy for them to do a Zoom call or an initial phone call to make sure it's worthwhile to have them come into the office. There's different things you can do to get the recruiting where it needs to be. I'm not saying, like I said, we don't have the miracle answer, but we do have all the automation answers to help, move people through the system a lot faster. So from recruiting to leads and referral sources and just having a website that actually does its job is really important right now. But having dedicated people, humans in the office who know how to answer these calls, who know how to respond to a lead fast and what to say, that is equally as important, and that will never go away. So
you're right. I agree with you. I know that Cheryl and I both agree that it's more critical now than ever to have an online and offline presence. And Val, you're the guru. You and your team are awesome at online marketing. And anyone who's out there who needs or wants to have an online presence and upgrade their whole suite, I would highly recommend you getting with Val and her team.
Yeah, and I would also say this, we can't there's not a whole lot of organizations out there that do the in-person sales or the phone sales, the sales in general, the human element of this, or do the digital marketing piece of this that have a background in healthcare. And to me, that is important because if you haven't seen this with your own eyes, and you haven't heard the distress in someone's voice, or the overwhelm, or the how are we going to pay for this, or how are we going to make this happen? If you haven't heard those conversations or had those conversations, it's hard to understand who you're marketing to. So when you have consultants behind you who actually have talked to done this for their own in their life and understand that, it's a much better, I think, piece of advice coming from someone who's been there. So definitely, yeah, absolutely. I think clinical experience is super important. All right, you guys, when you have a win in life or business, and this could mean anything, this is our fun question. How do you like to celebrate?
We like to celebrate as a team. I think Cheryl and I have a great team behind us, both internally at Home Care Sales, and then of course our family, and our clients. We consider them actually all our family, and they really bring us a lot of joy. So we try to include everyone in the big celebration.
Absolutely. I agree. We've been blessed to have an amazing staff that we work with at Home Care Sales. And we have been blessed to have an array of clients that has just been really amazing to see the growth that they've been able to achieve. And so it's a lot of fun when we get together. And I think that's why we love doing our 52-week coaching call every month, Mel, is because it's where we really get to interact with the company's reps. And it's like the best part of that role playing. It's like the secret sauce that we give them every month. And I think those celebrations of just great success is what keeps us motivated and energized to keep going every month.
And along that lines of celebrating, can we give your viewers a free gift?
Oh, absolutely, you can.
Awesome. Okay, so we have a program called the Roadmap of Referrals. And at its foundation, it gives weekly sales messages. It's an easy formula that they follow every week, and they can simply look on their calendar and know what high value client they're going to target, which allows them to focus on that particular patient or client type. So we want to give a piece of that away today, and we call it the Home Care Sales Planner. It is free. You can go to homecaresales.com/planner. Okay. And it gives all of the rest of 2020 and all of 2021 laid out for you. So if you go to homecaresales.com/planner, you're going to be able to download that for free and get yourself started right now.
Oh, cool. So I will put that with this video so that folks can, if they're watching the replay, they can go through and sign up for that and get that. That will be awesome. Thank you. Very nice. All right, ladies, I want to just thank you for being on the show, for helping us all learn from your wisdom and learn that pandemics don't mean that we have to shut our doors. It means that we should take advantage. We need to pivot, which I know is overused, but we pivot, and we need to teach our sales staff and ourselves how to do things a little bit differently. And I would agree. One of you said Melanie, I think your team will never go back to the way they marketed in the past. And I totally believe that's true. We need to step it up and think about all the alternatives in our life that we can use to get the message out about what we have to offer folks. So thank you for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you for all that you do for your clients, and we really appreciate your time.